Hi everyone, it's Gina K from Gina K Designs and your host of Stamp TV. And today is an exciting day because I get to introduce a brand new stamp set that is an exclusive set that I designed for Says Stamp. Now, many of you know that Says Stamp is celebrating Stamptember for the entire month of September, where they've teamed up with some fantastic companies and did collaborations. And I can't even begin to tell you how honored I am to have been included as one of those companies. So I'm going to show you the stamp set in just a minute, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make a card for you and a little matching tag. So let me show you the tools and products you're going to need to make these projects. First, you're going to need some ink, and the ink pads that I'm using are the Gina K Designs Ocean Mist, the Powder Blue. I'm also going to be using some white pigment ink, some VersaFine Onyx Black. I'm going to be using some Zots, and these are the bling Zots. These are really tiny and they're perfect for putting small embellishments onto your project. I'm going to be using some of the Lilac Lane by Buttons Galore, and this collection is called Fairy Sparkle, so I'm going to use a couple sequins from that. And to grab those sequins, I just picked this up, and this is really fun. This is the We Are Memory Keepers Quick Stick, and it's a precision pickup and placement tool. And I really like it. You just open up the lid, and it's got this sticky stuff on the top. And once it stops sticking, you just pull that off and throw it away, and then you just twist it, and more of that sticky stuff comes up. But it's not sticky, it's just tacky, so it doesn't leave a residue on your project at all. So it's a pretty cool little tool. And on the other end, it's got this end that you can use to kind of secure your sequins and different rhinestones and things down. So very fun. Then for other sticky products, I have some foam squares. I also have my favorite tape runner. This is the one by ThermoWeb, and it's the mini sticky dot runner. I'm going to be using some Copic markers today. The colors I'm using are YR15, which is pumpkin yellow, BG45, which is Nile blue, R27, which is cadmium red, and cool gray, C1. I'm also going to use a colorless blender pen, and I'm using the one by Blick, but you can also use a Copic marker colorless blender. I just couldn't find mine today, and I saw this laying there and I grabbed it. And you're going to find that a lot of the alcohol markers, the colorless blenders, will work with the different brands. I'm also going to use a Quickie glue pen and some of the Gina K Designs Prismatic Glitter, and this is the color Frozen. I've got a couple sponge daubers here, one for my Ocean Mist and one for my Powder Blue. I have some scissors, some washi tape. I have some gray twine. This is Baker's twine. And then I'm also going to be doing some embossing. So I'm going to be using a Versamark pad along with my embossing magic pad. And then I've got a dish here of the Gina K Designs Fine Detail White Embossing Powder. I have a pair of scissors, and for cardstock, I'm using some of our white base weight, some of our black onyx, our white layering weight, and then I have a couple little pieces here that I've already put together for a greeting. Okay, now for tags, I'm going to use the new tags by ThermoWeb. These are the ones that I designed for ThermoWeb, and it's part of my new Foilmates collection. And these are the decorative tags. They nest. There's 4 of them, but as you can see, each tag is unique. So you get a lot of different looks out of one set of tags. And I think you'll have a lot of fun with this set throughout the holiday season. All right, and I also have my embossing tool. So let me show you the new stamp set. This is the most exciting part. Look at this. This is a stamp set that I designed for Says Stamp for our collaboration, and it's called Warmer With You. It's a 6x8 stamp set, and it's got tons of images and this nice big background stamp. And it also comes with a set of dies, so you're able to cut out all these little guys and make adorable little holiday cards. So I'm so excited to show this to you. Okay. Let me grab my Misty. I have my Misty stamping tool here, and I'm going to use that. Boy, I have a lot of stuff on my table today. I'm using a lot of things, but believe it or not, this card project isn't going to take quite that long. Okay, so I'm going to start with this piece of white cardstock. and I want to get this into my MISTI. So I'm going to lay that in here. And then I am going to just put magnets right on the very edge because this is a huge stamp. And you can see I've already used this stamp set so many times. You can't even believe how many cards and tags and things I've made with it. It's so much fun. But you can see this is a really big stamp. So I'm going to grab this off of here. And I'm going to place this right in the middle of this piece of cardstock. So I'm actually going to just move those magnets out of the way. I don't even know that I'm going to need them. I'm going to be using Versamark with this. So I'm going to line that up the best that I can. And that looks pretty good. Let me see if I can just raise this side up just a little bit. Kind of get it straight across the top. And that looks pretty good there. So it's pretty much in the middle. I could probably go off to the edge a little bit here. Okay, I'm going to leave the magnets alone. And then I'm going to close the lid of the MISTI and then pick up that stamp with the lid. Now my next step is going to be to take this embossing magic pad and I want to rub this all over the surface of my cardstock. This way embossing powder is only going to go exactly where I want it. Now I'm going to grab my Versamark pad and I'm going to ink up this stamp really well using the Versamark. When you first get a brand new set of stamps, sometimes you have to give it a little bit of TLC to really make sure that you get it inky enough. But I have found with this Says Stamp set, it just worked beautifully right out of the package. I'm so thrilled. What wonderful high quality they have at Simon. All right, and now I'm going to make sure that that's back in position there. Make sure my cushion is where it needs to be, and I'm going to stamp these trees. Now this is a big stamp, so I'm going to take my time and I'm going to rub over each of those trunks. These are tree trunks, not branches. All right. Give it a little bit of extra pressure just to make sure. It would be hard to do this with just a regular acrylic block. That's why I just love using the MISTI, because I can let go and it still stays in the right position. Okay, and now I'm going to peel that off. And all of my trees have Versamark on them, and I'm sure you can't see that at all. So I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock here, and then I'm going to open up my white powder. And this is the fine detail powder. It's nice to use a fine detail powder for this because you'll find that, I really don't even need this because I have this big bin. You're going to find that there's a lot of little details in these tree trunks. And it will allow those little tiny lines to show through once you've embossed it without swelling up too much. That's what's really nice about the fine detail powder. So I'm going to just look and make sure that I don't have any powder where I don't want it. And if I do, I can just take my thumb and get rid of it, or if you have a little tiny paintbrush, you can use that as well. But I'm going to go with the thumb technique just to get rid of that. Put a little bit back on there. Okay, and that is ready to emboss. So let me move this out of the way and grab my heat tool. Now I do have a clothespin for this because this is very close to the edge, and I'm going to grab my heat tool here and emboss these trees. I do like using this Ranger craft mat. It really does allow you to emboss right onto your table without worrying about ruining any furniture. This is going to be a little hard for you to see, but when I turn it, you'll be able to see all of the shine. Let's see here. And if you let your heat tool heat up a little bit more than I did, then it won't take quite as long for it to emboss. That's a big stamp. Alright, almost done. Give it one more pass. Okay. So now let me show you this. You can see the trees there in the shine. They're very soft, very subtle, but we're going to have a little fun with this. Okay, I'm going to remove this stamp because I'm going to be using my Misty again in just a little bit. Let me put this off to the side here, and now we're going to have some fun with this. So I have some washi tape here. Now washi tape is usually pretty good at peeling right off of paper without ruining it, but I don't always trust that. So what I like to do is I like to put it on my clothing a little bit first, and then I know it's not real tacky at all. And I'm just going to butt this washi tape right up against the bottom of the trees. And I'm not putting a ton of pressure down on it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to rub that all over my shirt here again. I really want to kind of get rid of some of the tackiness. And then I'm going to run that right along the top of these trees. Then I'm going to do the same thing down the sides. Again, using my shirt. I'm going to run that right up the side here. And this one you're going to want to make sure that you're straight because it doesn't have a nice rim across the side the way it has across the top and the bottom. All right, and then we're going to do that one more time here. I don't know if this one's big enough. I might have to cut another piece. Well, it looks like it's going to be okay. And to make sure that it's straight, I'm kind of using the pattern in the washi tape to make sure that that looks like it's straight. So it's a good idea to use a washi tape with a pattern in it. It'll help you see that your border is nice and straight. Okay, so now we have the washi tape in place, and I'm going to grab some of my ink pads. I've got the Ocean Mist and the Powder Blue, and I'm also going to grab those sponge daubers. I'm going to start with the Ocean Mist because that's the lighter of the two colors. And I'm going to rub this sponge dauber over the entire surface of that ink pad to grab some of the ink. And then I'm coming in from the side and I'm going to work in a circular motion, just adding some color to the trees, or to behind the trees actually. I want to make sure that I'm keeping it nice and light so I don't have any bad streak marks or anything. You can see I'm just kind of going around, working my way in a little bit. And then I'm getting a little bit lighter as I get toward the center. Just because that kind of feels like maybe a sunset or dusk. It's just not as heavy in the center. All right. So there's my Ocean Mist layer. Now I'm going to go back in with a little bit of the Powder Blue. And I don't want to go too heavy here. I really just want to bring it in a little bit from around the sides. So I'm really starting out here far, and I'm just going to go around the entire perimeter very lightly, very light touch. Not really putting a lot of pressure on the paper. Just kind of letting the sponge dust over the edges. And I am going a little bit heavier right along the edge just to really make a well-defined line. Okay, so there's my two colors. I'm going to put these ink pads aside. I'm going to grab a piece of paper towel now, and I'm just going to rub over the entire surface to pick up any ink that might be resting on top of that embossing powder. You can see some of that came off there. All right, and now I'm going to gently remove the washi tape. So I'm peeling it almost like I was peeling painter's tape off of a wall that I just painted. Just very gently. I'm not pulling it, I'm kind of just letting it let go. I don't want to pull too hard on it. Let's do this bottom one. And it's kind of fun to watch, isn't it? And we'll do this top one. And that gives you a real neat postcard feel. So you've created your own border just by using a little bit of washi tape. And then I'm going to just kind of rub over the surface of my mat to pick up any loose ink that was on there. I could spray it down with a little water, but I think I got most of it here. Okay. So now this panel is ready to go onto my black onyx panel. I'm going to tape those two panels together with some of my thermal web adhesive. And all of the measurements for these pieces that I'm working with here will be under the screen at Stamp TV if you're watching this video at Stamp TV. If you're watching me on YouTube, just click on the description box, or you'll see underneath the screen it starts with a few words and then it'll say more, and you can click on more and that will open it up and you'll be able to see all of it. And all the measurements and supplies that I used will be listed there. Okay, so now this is going to go onto my card base. So I'll put that on right now. And I'm going to make sure that it's even on the two sides and the top. So it's not going to be right in the center. It's going to be a little bit more toward the top. Okay. So there we go. That looks pretty good. And so that is the backdrop for my card. All right, so now I've already pre-cut some of these little snowmen, and I want to show you the way that I'm going to color this little guy. I'm going to use some of the Copic markers, and then I'm going to do a little texturizing on him rather than shading. If you're newer to Copic markers, this is a fun and easy technique that anybody can do. I know you can do it. I'm going to grab the Copic marker BG45 and I'm going to color his little hat. And make sure I get enough down there, enough color. And I'm going to color the scarf. Copic markers are a lot of fun. There's so many great Copic artists out there that you can follow on YouTube and learn so much from. Me, I'm not really a Copic artist, but I have a lot of fun with my markers, and that's what stamping's all about for me. It's about having fun and making fun cards that I can send to people. All right, now I'm going to color the little mittens. And I've got one more mitten to color. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab that orangey marker. And that one, make sure I get the whole mitten covered. That marker it's a yellow red. It's YR15, and the name of it is Pumpkin Yellow. I'm just going to do the nose. Now, one of the things you're going to notice with the stamp set is there aren't really boy stamps and girl stamps in this set. They're all just snowmen. So this way you can make your family. I'm going to use this colorless blender just to clean up there. If you get a little bit outside the lines, you can use your colorless blender pen to kind of push the color back. It just lightens it up. You can use these snowmen for whatever configuration your family is. If you've got a mom and dad and 2 boys, you can color them to reflect that. If you've got a mom and dad and 2 girls, you can do that. If you've got a mom and dad and 6 kids, you can have 6 snowmen. It's totally up to you how you want to configure your family. So now I'm going to use the Blick Studio marker, and I'm going to use the bullet tip. And if you don't have a Blick Studio marker and you have a Copic original marker, that has a bullet tip too. And I just heard that Copic came out with some bullet tip replacements that you can use in the chisel end of your sketch markers. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do some lines. Just down like that. And I'm going to go back over them again just to lighten a little pattern there. And then I'm going to go this way, and I'm creating a little plaid hat. Going back over again. And can you see that texture starting to come through? I'm going to do the same thing on the scarf. I like to go over it a second time to lighten it up a little bit more. And then I'm going to go the other way. And it puts a really neat little texture in. And as it dries, the texture seems to come out even more. You can start to see the little hat there. It's getting more plaid looking at the top. I'm going to add a little bit more down here. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the mittens. So this is a fun card that you can customize exactly the way you want. Now in my family, we've got 2 girls. So I'm just going to use the 2 bigger snowmen and the 2 little snowmen. I'm also going to add a little bit of the gray. I'm going to use C1 and just add a little shadow kind of on the sides of the snowman's face, kind of under the scarf, and then I'm going to kind of come down under his little hand there just to add some shadow effect. Now let me show you the other ones that I colored. I colored another little blue one and a little red one, and then I colored a bigger red one. So there's my little family right there. And I'm going to add a little bit of glitter to them. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use a Quickie glue pen. And if you haven't used a Quickie glue pen before, they're really fun and they're really easy to use. You just want to color, just like you were coloring with a marker, wherever you want glitter to be. So I'm just going to add some glitter to their hats. I'm going to do one at a time here. So once I have that glue down, then I'm going to grab my prismatic glitter. And I'm going to just dump that right over him, like that. And you can see now I've got glitter just on his little hat and that little part right there. And I will have some pictures over at Stamp TV too, so that you can see the glitter a little bit better. Okay, so that's one. Let's just do the other ones real quick here. I'm going to add a little bit of glitter just to the rim of this hat. It's so fast and easy. And then she's got some glitter now. And the little babies here. Put some glitter on this one. And we'll just do that last one. So a Quickie glue pen is fun because if you have colored glitter too, you can do different colors. So you can do your red parts first, and then you can go back and do your green parts, and then do your silver parts, and you can have multicolored glitter all over your little pieces without the glitter getting where you don't want it to be. Okay, and then I'm just going to pour that back into my jar and get rid of that. Okay, so now it's time to assemble this card. before I do, I am going to grab that one last little piece, this little strip that I cut, and I'm going to grab the MISTI again. So let me get these guys out of the way. Now I'm going to slip this right here at the very bottom of my MISTI. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here so that you can see this better. So I've got this down here at the bottom, and then I'm going to find the stamp that I want to use. So I think the stamp I want to do is From Our Family to Yours. That will be the perfect size for this, and I'm going to place this exactly where I want it. Now this is a very scripty type of saying, so when you're lining up a scripty saying like this, to make sure that it's straight, just make sure the regular print part is straight. So From Our Family is very bouncy, but To Yours is in a regular straight font. So that's where you want to make sure your stamp is straight. Okay, and I'm going to pick that up with my MISTI and then place this back in there again. And then I'm going to grab some VersaFine ink. I really like VersaFine ink for very detailed greetings, especially when the words are so small like these words, because there's very little bleed with VersaFine. All right, and then we'll make sure that's in the right spot and stamp. And there we go. From Our Family to Yours. So I'm going to put this aside, and then I'm going to grab all my parts of my card. Now I'm going to start by placing the greeting where I want it. So I think I'm going to put that right in the center there, and then I'm going to pop it up with some of those foam squares. And the foam squares, there's many different brands, and they all work very well. I'm going to use some smaller ones here. And I'm only going to put one on each end because I am going to kind of slip those snowmen behind this. So I don't want too much tape and stuff like that kind of blocking my area. And then I'm going to place that right there. Okay. And then I'm going to start to place my little snowmen. I'm just going to lay them out to see how I want them. And if you want, you could tape the parents, the bigger ones in the back, and then pop the little ones in the front if you want. Or you can pop them all. I'm going to pop them all. So I'm just going to use a couple little foam squares here. I think 3 is enough for the big one. And I'll put him right in here, like that. And then I'm going to get her. She'll be next. She is a little thinner than him. All right, and I'll put that one there. And then we'll squeeze these little guys in. So we'll do the little blue one next to the red one. Kind of alternate colors. So we'll slip that one in there. And we've got this last little one. It's kind of nice to grab the die set too if you get this set, because you will really enjoy being able to cut these out and do all different little configurations. Okay. So there is my cute little snow family. A nice sparkly card ready to send. Now I'm going to make a quick matching tag, so let me grab my Big Shot. I'm going to move this out of the way. I've got my Big Shot here, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And then I'm going to use that die, the new ThermoWeb die. I'm going to use the biggest one here, and I'm going to use a piece of the Gina K Designs Heavy Base Weight White cardstock. I like to make my tags on a little bit heavier cardstock. All right. And then don't worry if that tag falls out. You can see what that looks like. It's got that cute little dotted edge all around it. But we're going to stick it back into the die. Let me move this out of the way. All right. And then I'm going to grab a little bit more of that washi tape. Now for this, again, I'm just going to tap it onto my collar. And I'm going to position this back in to its original position into the die. And then I'm going to tape it just so that it doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to do the same thing again, just tapping that washi tape off onto my fabric and tacking that down lightly on the back. So I'm going to make this match. So I'm going to grab those same ink pads once again, and I'm going to grab those 2 sponge daubers. I'm going to start with the Ocean Mist, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with that background. I'm going to very lightly work my way in, adding some color. Kind of just going around the perimeter, and then I'm going to work my way in, kind of as some of this ink gets used up. It's going to get lighter as it goes toward the center. And you can also do this with oxide inks if you want that look, and you can spritz them with water. It gives it a little bit of a snowy look. That's always fun too. But we're going to use some of the snowflakes in here. Now I'm also going to use the powder blue. Same way, just kind of going around the perimeter just to add some definition to the line. I love this color combination. I was thinking Ocean Mist and Turquoise Sea would be a great color combination, and it usually is, but the powder blue really changes when you mix it over the Ocean Mist. It's really neat. And I'm going to add a little more Ocean Mist into the center. I'm going to get it a little bit darker since we're going to stamp on it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take this out of the die, and that gives me a real nice little background area. And I'm gently peeling the washi tape off. It should be okay. And once again, I'm going to just wipe this down with the paper towel. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to use some of the white ink, and I'm going to grab some Post-it notes. And you can reuse these Post-it notes over and over again, so it's not wasteful to use a big amount, you know, a big Post-it note for a little bit, because you can just keep using it over and over again for your next tag and your next tag. And it's always fun to make multiples. I like cutting all 4 tag shapes out and then stamping on all of them, so I have a variety of shapes and sizes, and I'll show you some that I made earlier. All right, so I'm just kind of blocking off the edges there, a little masking. And then I'm going to grab one of the snowflakes. So I'm going to use, I think I'll use this one. I'll grab a couple of them. I'll use this one. I'll use this one. That's kind of a neat one. And I'll use this little dotty one too. They're all fun. I've used every stamp in this entire set, and it's been an absolute blast to stamp with. All right, so now I'm going to grab an acrylic block, and I'm going to grab my white pigment ink pad. I'm going to start with this stamp here, and I'm going to ink this up with the pigment ink. And I'm going to stamp that right there. I'm going to do another one down here. And you can see as the white gets closer to the center, it starts to kind of fade in and blend in, almost like it's in the sunshine. right, I'm going to peel this one off, and then I'm going to use this tiny one and add a couple of these. Like that. And then my very last one, I'm going to stamp in some powder blue. And that's going to be very dark, so I don't want to use it straight. I want to stamp it off once because I just want it to be kind of a mist of color. So let's see what that looks like stamped off once, and then we'll test it. Oh yeah, that's going to look nice. So we'll stamp it off once, and then we'll stamp it again. Like that. We can even do another one. See, now I'm going to get out of control here. There. Okay. So that's pretty. And now I can peel my little pieces of Post-it note off, and my snowflakes didn't go outside of the lines, and that's what I was aiming for. So now I have another little snowman already colored, and I'm going to add a little glitter to him quick. Probably should have glittered him beforehand since you've already seen this once, but it doesn't take long with the Quickie glue pen. So we'll just add a little glitter to his head, to his hat, not his head. And we'll sprinkle that on. There we go. And now I'm going to add a few sequins, but I'm not going to do that until the very, very end. I do want to add my ribbon first. So let's do that next while he's drying. I've got some of this baker's twine. So I'm going to cut one long piece, fairly long. And then I'm just going to make a little loopy knot here at the top. Kind of a slip knot so it can hang. And then I'm going to feed it through from the back like that. Then I'm going to get a nice long piece of twine. And I'm going to do my double looped bow, but I'm going to do it with twine, and it's going to be more than a double loop. Look at my fingers are covered in ink. So I'm going to grab the one side with my pinky and my thumb, and I'm going to wrap that around my fingers 4 times. So I have 4 loops at the top. Then I'm going to take my tail and I'm going to put it between my fingers so it's going to come through my fingers like that. So there it goes through my fingers. It's a little harder than the ribbon. You can always take scissors and kind of help it through. All right. And then that is not going through. There we go. Okay, and then I have a loop up here. And I'm going to do the same thing that I do with my bow tying. I'm going to go over the loop and back through the loop. So over the river and through the woods. Over and back through. And then I'm going to pull it toward my elbow. So that gives me the 2 tails that are coming out the back and then all my loops that are coming out the front. I will link my bow tying video underneath the screen here and in the description box at YouTube so that you can easily find this technique. And in my video I have 5 ways to tie bows actually, and this one is the hardest, so I've got some pretty easy ones too. And then you can kind of straighten out your loops using your scissors, and then you can just trim the tails. Now to attach this, instead of gluing it on or something like that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay it down here right onto that string. And then I'm going to pick up that loop and I'm going to feed it through. And then that's going to secure it right there. So this way you don't have to tape it on. You've got it nice and perfect and everything's facing in the right direction. And that tag is ready to hang on a gift or a bottle of wine or on the Christmas tree, wherever you want to use it. All right, and now I'm going to add my little snowman using some of the foam squares. So I've got one on the top, one down here on the side, and one over here near the bottom. And we'll lay him right on the corner, just sticking off the tag a little bit, like that. And now I'm going to grab that pickup tool, that quick stick, and some of my Zotz bling. And these are very tiny, so I can just kind of pick up one of these and place it where I want it. So I think I'm going to put one right in the center of that snowflake. These snowflakes really aren't that dry yet, so they're a little wet. Maybe I should put them other places. I'll put them other places because the snowflakes aren't dry. But once they're dry, then you'll be able to put them wherever you want. So we'll put one up there. We'll put one down here. And we'll put one right over here. I like to work in threes. And then we're going to pick up the sequins that we want with the pickup tool. I have a little bit too much sticking off of that, so let's just pull up a little bit. We'll grab a sequin that we want. Now, these sequins, some of them are grouped in 3 and 4. So once you place it where you want it, then you can use this end to kind of press it down into that Zot. And that is not going to go anywhere. That will make it through just about anything. And there's the second one. And now we'll do one more over here. Oops. Should have used the tool. Okay. And there is my finished tag. So let me grab my card and lay that next to it so you can see. There's my card and there is my tag. I want to show you just a couple other little tags that I made. I used the tiny tag from this second to smallest one here. I used that and made a little tiny tag that could be hung on a little goodie that you give somebody for the holidays, maybe a little candy wrap or something at work. You might want to pass those out and you can tie those on. That would also be a very cute thing to tie onto a tea bag. And then the tiniest little die, I used the 2 and one of the snowflakes just to attach that to a gift. And then I used this second to largest one to make this cute little one, a little tag that says "From both of us." I added a few sequins on that one too and did the same kind of bow at the top. So let me position these so you can see them all together here. And then I have one more tag that I did. I used the little mittens, and I could have popped them up with some foam squares, but I decided to keep this nice and flat. And this one is "The Holidays Are Warmer With You." And what's really nice is this is about the size of a gift card, so you could attach a gift card onto the back of this tag, or you can put 2 tags together and encase the gift card in between them. So that's a lot of fun little snowman projects featuring the brand new set by Simon Says Stamp called "Warmer With You." I hope you've enjoyed today's Stamp TV video, and head over to Simon Says Stamp to grab this set and the die set. These are limited editions and they're only going to be available until supplies last. So grab yours, and I would love to see some of the cards that you made. So if you're on Instagram, tag me at Gina K Designs. If you're on Facebook, stop in on our Facebook page, and if you're on Twitter, I'm Gina K over on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining me today, and happy stamping.